I'm Gina Grizzle, and I've been teaming up with Keith Trim and Trim Photo, and we've been covering the hidden gems of Fairbury, Nebraska. Today, we are on to hidden gem number 9. It was April 4th, 1933, the day that impacted Fairbury for a lifetime. It was election day, and soon they were going to be announcing the new mayor. It was also the time that the local ministerial society was lobbying together to ban movies at the movie theater on Sunday. Well, Homer Yeakle, he was an insurance agent, was headed with his daughter Gwen and Wilma, and it was time to go shopping for clothes. Well, the first stop had to be the local bank, the First National Bank, to get some cash. Just as they arrived at the entrance to the bank, a big black Buick, a 1932, pulled in, came to a screeching halt, and the gentleman jumped out and opened the door for the ladies. They all entered in, and soon a cry sounded off the stone walls. "This is a holdup!" Pistols and submachine guns were pulled out. Warning shots were fired into the air. Now, the sheriff's department was across the street at the courthouse. And today was the day that a gun salesman by the name of Glenn Johnson, was paying a visit to the sheriff. He was showing him some new firearms. Well, when they heard the shots ring out, both Johnson and Sheriff Davidson grabbed the new rifles and headed to the street. Now the gangsters saw him and they opened fire. The other gangsters inside the bank grabbed bystanders and used them as human shields. Both Johnson and Davidson quit firing. Davidson was hit in the shoulder and fell to the ground under a vehicle. Johnson was hit in the ankle. He quickly tied a handkerchief around his ankle and stood up with his rifle. He nailed one of the gangsters who had a submachine gun in his hand. His finger pulled the trigger. He went in a sweeping motion. Bullets everywhere. He hit Keith Sexton with 5 bullets. Sexton fell to the ground. He did survive, though. But the rest of the fire rang out in all the businesses around. Glass was exploding around the square. Employees were collapsing to the ground in terror as the bullets riddled the stores. Now, the gang, along with 2 bystanders, roared out of town in their vehicle. 2 miles later, they pulled over, jumped into a second getaway vehicle, and left the 2 bystanders behind. They were left unscathed. Now, it was years before those robbers were identified. Karpis actually got to serve a sentence in Alcatraz, where he taught Charles Manson how to play the guitar. We had Fred Barker, who died in an FBI raid. We had Doc Barker, who also went to Alcatraz and was later shot trying to escape Alcatraz. We had Frank Nash, who was killed a few months later by Pretty Boy Floyd. And then we had Jess Doyle, who was the only one who got to serve a decade in the Nebraska State Penitentiary. And finally, we had Earl Chrisman, who was the gangster that was shot by Johnson here in Fairbury. He actually died, and they buried him in a shallow grave in Kansas City behind a gangster's house. That concludes hidden gem number 9. Special thanks goes to Leroy Bast for allowing us to record our hidden gem in his memory and more. We hope to come to you soon again with hidden gem number 10. And thank you and have a great night.